Hello, this is stage 38, and we are looking at about the language 3. This is a continuation of a series of indirect statements about or a series about the languages about the indirect statement. This one is focusing on the infinitive as a present passive infinitive. So this is kind of nice because we already know about the idea of indirect statements. We've already learned about present passive infinitive. So now we're just sort of putting the two of them together. And as a reminder, I want to just go and revisit the present passive infinitives really quickly here. So let's concentrate just on the first couple rows here. So we have examples from every conjugation. So here's first, here's second, here's third, and here's fourth. Now remember that the third IO, it looks, for all intents and purposes, it looks like the third. So if you have facio, facere, looks like traho, trahere. So the third IO is kind of in here as well. Maybe even it would be helpful if I put a 3 and then an I and an O here, just so we are clear. Okay, so remember present active infinitives, are, ere, ere, ire. And to change them to the passive, so not to carry, but to be carried, not to teach, but to be taught. So to be blanked. We're going to take this E in portare and change it to an I. So portare becomes portari. Docere becomes doceri. Audire becomes audiri. Now, there's always an exception, right? Language is a very human thing. It's one of the most human things that we do, and we like our exceptions. And so the exception is the third conjugation, and this time we're going to drop the entire ERE here. So traho, trahara. So trahara becomes trahi, okay? Ago, agara, so agi, that kind of thing. I always tell my students that because it's the third conjugation, we're going to drop 1, 2, 3 letters, if that helps you remember. So trahara to trahi. All right. That, in terms of morphology, that really is it in terms of just how we're forming these present infinitives, both the active and the passive, and what they mean. All right. Now let's take a look here in 38. We've got the about the language. So we've got indirect statements like skiote wexari. All right. Now I know that you wexari. So this needs to be both present but also passive. So not I know that you are annoying somebody else, but that you are being annoyed. Or we could even just say you are annoyed. Here, audimus or audimus, we hear that many soldiers not are training something else or whatever, but they are being trained. All right. So in our exercise here, and I'll make this even bigger to make it easier to see, I have the splendid dinner in the house already is prepared, or now is prepared. So a splendid dinner is now being prepared in the house. And so I know for sure, I am certain that the splendid dinner. So here is our twisted object. And then here is our passive version of that present infinitive. So I know, or I am sure, I am certain that the splendid dinner is now being prepared in the house. So the other part of this is the indirect statement thing. And remember that we always start out with a head verb, right? So here is your head verb. Now they've given you the idiom procerto habeo because it's part of the vocabulary list, and that repetition is definitely good here, but it's still a head. I'm sure. Okay. We have, remember what I call the twisted object. So it is the object, the accusative direct object of the head verb, but it's also the subject, the accusative subject of the infinitive here. So in D, we have a head verb, dikunt. The senators say, something you do with your head. You can say that the consul, here is your twisted object. Notice it's accusative, the subject accusative. The consul, and then affligi. Affligo, affligere means to afflict. with. Okay, now this is the passive, so that the consul is afflicted or is being affected with a grave illness, a mortal illness. In E, here is your head verb, I hear. Here is your subject accusative, your twisted object. I hear that Clemens's sons, and then doke re, are being taught by Quintilian every day. And then F, here's your head verb. My friend declares. So declaring something else you can do with your head, your mouth, declares that you, here's the twisted object, are being praised. Now here's nunquam, so never praised or never being praised by the emperor, and often you are being blamed, and we assume by the emperor again. So I hope that helps clarify and make sense of our indirect statements, but now with the present passive infinitive. Good luck, everybody.